Okay, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock. We welcome you to Make Yourself Count, Census 2020, 5 ways the census protects you. I am your moderator and presenter tonight, Pastor Scott Onquay, the Policy Director for Faith in Place. Also, I have our team member, our comms coordinator on with us, Katie Maxwell, and
Hello.
she'll be assisting us with the presentation of the slides as well as the polls that we're going to take during the course of the evening. We will go through a series of slides to talk about the census and why the census, one, is important, but also how it protects you, and then also to train you or to assist you with sharing the importance of the census to others. So even though you may have already completed your census, and I applaud you if you have, this is a tool that you can use to encourage others to complete the census, because we know how important the census is to our communities. We can go ahead and move to the next slide. Again, Faith in Place empowers Illinois people of all faiths to be leaders in caring for the earth, providing resources to educate, connect, and advocate for healthier communities. And again, I'm your policy director and your presenter tonight. I also hold the office as pastor for the St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church, which is a church in the EJ community. And we encourage you to, I encourage my members also to participate in the census count. So our conversation today will include these 3 bullet points. First of all, what is the census? Why is it important? And how does it protect you? Now, I'm going to say that again so that you'll know what is the census, why is it important, and how does it protect you? So that's the framework for tonight's presentation. We also want to thank the organization Power Pastors Organized with Equity and Respect, and their president, Reverend Dr. Michael Jones. So for teaming up with us tonight and encouraging those that participate or connected to Power to be on tonight with us. Next slide. So we want to take a quick poll. If you're on and you, the poll is, have you taken your census? Katie will lead you through that poll, and then we'll come back with results. So if you can participate in the poll, have you taken your census? Great. Well, we have 88% of the respondents said that they have taken their census, and 13% of the respondents have not, which is very good because we're outpacing the Chicago response rate, which is at 54%, and the state of Illinois in its entirety is at 62%. And so I'm glad that you're on and you have taken the census, and I know that you know how important the census is. And so we're going to move to the next slide. So why is the census important? We're going to take another poll. Why is the census important? Let's see. Let's get your feedback. And we're waiting for our results, waiting for everyone to finish the poll. Why is the census important?
We still have a couple more people who can
Mhm.
go ahead and vote.
And look at here. 10% says the census directs funds to build, repair schools, roads, and hospitals. Census determines where funding for mental health services. Census data are used to determine the number of U.S. representative seats each state gets. And 90% actually said all of the above, which is absolutely correct. All of the above. Let's stay here for 1 minute and talk about the census and how it directs funds to build and repair schools, roads, as and so when we look at the census and how, go ahead, the next slide is fine. So when we look at the census is a account of every person that resides in these 50 United States on April 1st. That's the census day. Census day, April 1st. That's the day that we actually do the count. And so the census actually records each individual by way of either a web count by going onto the website census2020.gov or responding by a mail count, which has been sent to each home, each address already, and then also the census response by census takers. Now, these three events happen separately. The first thing happens when we send out an invitation for you to go online to census2020.gov. That envelope prompted you with your code to go and respond to the census with that code. Even if you did not get that envelope, it's okay because it could have got lost in the mail. Maybe your neighbor picked it up by mistake and didn't give it to you. Whatever the case may be, you can still go on and bypass putting in the code by just registering your address. When you register your address, you're registering your address and the number of people that reside in your home on April 1st. Now, the nuance here is everyone that resides in your home must be counted. That's important. Unfortunately, like if you're pregnant, you can't count your unborn baby. But if your baby is born on April 1st, then you can count your baby because they would legitimately be residing in your home. You can also count boarders, people that are staying with you. Even though they may not be your family, they may be your cousin, your friend, but they actually are staying with you at the time of April 1st. You may count them, provide their name also. So again, the census is a way for the United States government to get a count of how many citizens are actually actively living in these United States. Next slide. Oh, we got to go ahead and play that. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that, everyone. Trying to fix the audio.
While Katie's trying to fix the audio, I was just I went along and read it myself, actually. Over here, Katie, to the sound bar there on that.
I believe I found it.
Okay, great.
Share computer sound. Sorry about that, everyone. Let's try this again.
Let's try it again. All right.
Beginning in March, the U.S. Census Bureau will invite households across the country to participate in the 2020 census. But what is the census? Simply put, the census is a head count of every person living in the United States. To be sure the government represents the people, the U.S. Constitution requires a population count every 10 years. Ever since 1790, the census has determined the number of seats each state receives in the U.S. House of Representatives. It is, and always has been, a cornerstone of our democracy. We still use it to determine representation, but leaders also use the data to make decisions. Your response helps guide planning for the future of our communities. The 2020 census will help inform decisions on how billions of dollars are allocated annually for critical public services like roads, schools, hospitals and healthcare clinics, fire and emergency response services, and hundreds of other programs. In 2020, for the first time, you'll be able to complete the census online, by phone, or by mail. It asks a few simple questions, like how many people live in your home on April 1st, including their age and sex, and if there are any children living there. You should know that by law, all census responses are completely confidential, and your personal information cannot be shared with any law enforcement agencies. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So whether your family has participated for decades or the 2020 census will be your first, we all have a role in shaping the future of our country.
Great short video, not too long. Just enough information to let you know how important the census is, and it gives you a little background about what is the census. And again, it's taken every 10 years to determine one, our number of House representative seats, two, how much money is allocated for roads, bridges. Again, the census directs billions of dollars in federal funds to communities for schools, roads, and other public services. This is so important because we know that many of our communities suffer because we have lack of resources. And so that's why it's important to be counted. If you're not counted, then the money does not follow you. The money does not follow you if you're not counted. And that's $1,100 every single year per person that's been determined that dollars follow those individuals for the next 10 years. And so that's why it's very important for you to fill out the census, because that's $11,000 worth of resource money that we may miss because someone was not accounted. So again, it also determines the number of seats that each state has in Congress. And for first time in a long time, the state of Illinois is at risk of losing actually a Congress seat because of shrinking population. And so we need to make sure that we are counted so we don't lose that congressional seat that's so important to the decisions that are made in DC. So how does the census protect you? Somebody said, well, how could the census protect me? Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about how the census actually protects you, because there are things in the census laws that actually protect individuals who fill out the census. And so let's cover that real quick. Next slide. Okay. So first of all, your answers are totally 100% confidential. That means they cannot be shared with any other agency at all. You don't have to worry about anyone knowing your information. This is just the information for the census takers and the census2020.gov portion of the government. They cannot share with ISIS. They cannot share your information with police. They cannot share your information with any other government entity. This information is totally confidential, and they cannot share it with anyone else. So your information is private, and it belongs to you and you shared it with the census for the sole purpose of being counted. Next slide. Also, answers cannot be shared with law enforcement. I did share that so that you don't have to worry about the police getting your information. You don't have to worry about border control getting your information. Even if you're undocumented, it's important for you to fill out the census because you are actually living in America. And so you should fill out the census so you can be counted. You don't have to worry about that information being sent to someone and someone knocking on your door later trying to deport you. Again, so it's not shared with any law enforcement. Your response are only used to produce statistics. Again, the information is given to census2020.gov to compile the number of individuals that are living in these United States as of April 1st, 2020. This is so that we can direct the right resources to every community to make sure every community gets their fair share. A community, there are many communities in the city of Chicago that need these resources. Many communities on the South Side need hospitals and other services, mental health clinics, and these kind of services are provided by the billions of dollars that are produced and allocated through census registration. Next slide. So remember, there is no citizenship question on the 2020 census. So they're not asking you, are you a citizen? They're asking you, do you live in the United States at the time of the census taking? So you don't have to worry about them finding out that your visa may have expired, or you're here illegally, or you have not registered properly. You don't have to worry about that because there is no citizenship question. We have fought hard and long. I know that at one time, someone was trying to get that question on the census, but it was turned down. So the citizenship question is not on the form at anywhere or any point. Remember, the 2020 census will never ask for your social security number. That's really important because, again, you don't have to worry about your social security number being taken and lifted. So if anyone comes and says, I'm here on behalf of the Census 2020, and they ask for your social security number, you immediately should turn them down from taking any information from you. Also, we want to avoid any scams during census taking. So that means no one will come and ask for money or donations for them recording your census. So if anyone assists you in taking the census, and we have teams that will be mobilized even during COVID-19 that will be going out to do what they call census taking. They may have a tablet with them and they'll record your information, or there may be opportunities when we get back to having gatherings where a census representative may be at a particular event and you stop over at their table and they may ask for you to complete the census form. They go online for you and help you complete it. But if anyone asks you for any money or any form of donations, they are not actually operating on behalf of Census 2020, and they're actually operating in violation of all of our rules and policies. So no one should ever ask you for money or donations. No one should also discuss or try to represent any political party. This is not a Democrat versus Republican / independent effort. This is an American effort. And so even though I may have a political affiliation, I cannot use that political affiliation during my census presentation or trying to get information or trying to get you to sign up. So it's not about a political party. And so we don't represent any political party when we're doing census work. Also, this is super important because people have been made vulnerable to scams and victims of scams your bank or credit card account numbers. No one should ask you, what's your bank number? What's your routing number? What's your credit card number? The census form does not ask any of those type of questions. And so you don't have to worry about giving that kind of information up. Again, if anyone asks you for your social security number, anyone asks you for money or donations, anyone asks you or try to represent a political party or ask for your bank information or your credit card account, then that's the time to shut them down. I want to leave this slide up just for a second, because as you're receiving this training, and since 88% of you have already filled out the census, this is important because there's a lot of pushback from people who have not filled out the census because they're afraid that someone's going to get their information, someone's going to get their social security number, someone's going to try to get money out of them. Your goal is to share this information and say, hey, during the 2020 census, no one will ever ask for these 4 points. No one will ask for your social security number, money, donations, anything on behalf of a political party, or bank or credit card numbers. That's really important so that people can feel safe about the information they're providing, and they don't feel that someone is trying to take that information and take advantage of them. Next slide. So how do you take the census? This is so particularly easy because we have 3 ways that you can immediately take the census. Many people have already started filling out their census. They went online, again, when they were prompted by the envelope once they had the mailing. The mailings went out in the middle of March, and you were able to go online, 2020census.gov, and start filling out your census. It's really simple. You type in your address. It prompts you to put in the names of each individual that are living in your house and the ages of those individuals. And they continue to ask for each individual that lives in your house. And then once you have listed each individual, your census is completed. You push send, and that's done. It's just that simple. If you're not computer savvy, if you don't have access to the web, if you don't have access to Wi-Fi, you may pick up your telephone, use your cell phone, and dial 844-330-2020, simply 2020. And then there is a person there that will receive that information, and they will take the census over the phone. Now, we're going to get to the point now where census mail, you may mail in your census form. They were trying to do as much census taking without mailing census forms, but of course there's some people that still feel more comfortable about mailing in their census form, and that's okay. Those that have not responded by a certain date will again get another mailing from the census, and that will be a mail-in form, and you can fill that mail-in form out and mail it back. You can fill out that mail-in form and mail it back, and you can complete your census by returning mail. But at any time, all of these avenues are still available for you to fill out your census. Even when we get to the mail time, you can still go online and complete your census. You can still call 844-330-2020 to complete your census, or you can mail it in. So now we're at the point of questions and answers. On the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A. You can click on the Q&A and type your questions in there, and Katie will get the question over to me, and I'll be able to respond to that question. Also, we do have a chat, and if you choose to go that route, but I would encourage you to go to the question and answer screen and put your questions in there, and we'll give you a minute to fill in your questions. Again, while we're waiting for questions to come through, again, the census is super, super important. The organization Power wanted to make sure that their members understand how important the census is. And this is the time that we can take and call our friends and say, hey, did you fill out the census? I periodically post on my Facebook page just as, hey, have you completed the census? Also, I use other social media just to share, to remind people of the census, and people will type back, respond, and say, I've already done it, which is great. I actually had somebody say, I'm going to do it today. So you can do the same thing because we're doing this for our communities, and we want to make sure that our communities get every single dollar that we deserve, and we don't leave any money on the table. So you can be a part of the encouraging others to take the census. If you feel you would like more training on the census, you feel uncomfortable, I am an available resource to you. Again, you can reach me at scott@faithinplace.org. You can send me an email there and say, I would like additional training, or I would like for this presentation to be made to a smaller group at my organization, my house of worship, and I'll be glad to have you sign on for a smaller group, and we can do a census training, and we can tailor it to your organization if you feel that your organization have a lot of hard to reach people. For instance, we can tailor it for hard to reach individuals. Maybe senior citizens may be difficult to reach because they're a little fearful. Or if your community has a community of a lot of undocumented residents, that's an opportunity we can share with those residents how important the census is, and
I
also
think
how
that's
safe
a
the
great
census is.
tie-in to our question that we have
Okay.
in the Q&A. It's, do immigrants count? Can they fill out the census?
Absolutely. Immigrants do count, and yes, you can fill out the census, and you can fill out the census safely without any risk of your status here in these United States. You have an opportunity to go to any of those resources I told you about, 2020census.gov, the telephone number that was on the screen, or by mail. Again, you do not have to reveal your immigrant status on the census form. All you're doing is saying, at this address, this particular individual lives, name and age on the census form, and submit it. Great question, thank you.
And we have another question. This one's from Sharon Starr. What are the main reasons non-responders don't respond to the census? Is it available in other languages?
And that's a two-part question. The first part, one of the big reasons people don't respond to census is lack of trust of government. People are fearful that their information will be shared, that someone's going to get a hold of the information, or that they may owe taxes. So they're fearful that someone's going to report them to the IRS if they owe taxes, or they, many times they feel like they give that information, someone's looking for them, or they're going to, somebody's going to turn the information over to creditors and things like that. So it's a lot of mistrust to our government, and that has caused people not to respond. Some of it is empathy. Some people just don't care, and we have to try to get those people to care. So we want to remove the empathy that's in our community. And then the census is available in multiple languages. There are community that are training in census in Japanese, Spanish, different dialects, Chinese. There are different languages for the census forms, and you can find all of those actual languages on census2020.gov, and you can fill out the census in the language of your preference. And so thank you for that question.
We have another question come in from Beverly. It's a two-parter. She wanted some clarification. Did you say that even after a certain date, the census can still be completed all 3 ways and not just by mail-in? So that's part
Yes.
one.
Even after the mail-in time starts, you still have the opportunity to go online to fill out the census. And so right up until October 1st, when census date expires, you can fill out the census.
And then she also asked, if someone is born in your household after you have completed your census, but before the October 1st deadline, can you update your information?
No, you cannot. The census is counting those that are actually in your household on April 1st. On April 1st. That's it for the questions?
That's it.
Great, great. Well, thank you
Looks
so
like
much for your.
Tanisa has added a question in the chat. What if you
Okay.
moved?
What if you move? If you move, you want to fill out your census for the address that you were at on April 1st. Again, on April 1st. That is really the key date. So if you moved after April 1st and you did not complete your census, you want to fill out the census for the address that you were on April 1st. Poll number 3. If you haven't completed the census, do you feel comfortable completing it now? Let's take our poll. %. Woo! Applaud, applaud. All right. So I think I have some comfortable people about completing the census. And again, if you need assistance with sharing the importance of filling out the census, I can be your resource, scott@faithinplace.org. And I will be glad to help you share the importance of filling out the census. This is your time to tell your cousin, your friends, your associates, your neighbors, just in casual conversation, you can say, have you completed the census? Do you know why the census is so important? Do you understand what is at risk if we don't complete the census? And have those kind of conversations with individuals that you know, because believe it or not, you are a greater influencer than you think. If they hear that you have completed the census and you feel secure about the census, and the census is important to you, you may urge someone else to participate in the census that had ignored the paperwork, had some sense of apathy about it, or had some fear about completing the form. And you may do a lot to alleviate that fear. So again, thank you for feeling comfortable about completing the census. All right, next one, next poll. Do you feel comfortable sharing about the census with your community? Let's see. Do you feel comfortable about sharing about the census with your community? Wonderful. Everyone feels comfortable about filling out and sharing the census with their community. And so we are hitting the ground running tonight. This is really good because this is what we wanted. We wanted people to feel comfortable about sharing the census with those that they know in their community and sharing how important the census is. And again, this is about dollars that are being resourced to our communities for our roads and our bridges, our hospitals, our libraries, our firemen, and our protection. And so we want to make sure we get every single dollar and every single resource. And then also, we do not want to lose any congressional seats. And again, the census is totally confidential. They will not share your information. You're protected from any other entity learning what you have put on the census. That information cannot be shared. And then also be aware of those that may try to scam you by asking for money or by asking for your social security number or your credit card numbers or your bank numbers. Again, you want to share that and keep that at top of mind as you're sharing the census. We're coming to the near of our the end of our presentation. And so Faith in Place is, again, a great organization. And I would love for you to get connected to Faith in Place. If you do not know about Faith in Place, get to know us. Go to Faith in Place, www.faithinplace.org, or follow us on social media at Faith in Place. And then you can hear from us about programs that you are interested in and completing a quick form in the link chat. And I think, are you going to load that, Katie? Or you can just go to faithinplace.org.
Put it in the chat.
All right, it's in the chat. Beautiful. Okay. All right, I think we are at the end of our presentation for tonight. I want to thank my very capable assistant, Katie Maxwell, tonight for leading us through. Now, we have a big event coming up in September. You do not want to miss this. This is going to be our first virtual Green Team Summit. That means you don't have to leave your home and you can enjoy all of the information, all of the presenters that we have for our Green Team Summit. You may have visited or came to the Green Team Summit last year at the Field Museum, but because of COVID-19, we want to keep everyone safe. And so we'll be doing it all virtually, September 13th through the 17th. You can register at greenteamsummit.org, and it's great. Have fun. Register now. Don't wait till the last minute because you want a good spot. Again, a wealth of information, great presenters from all around the country will be a part of our Green Team Summit this year, and we are looking forward to hosting you during that time. I'm going to sign off at this point. Again, this is Pastor Scott Anquay, very proud pastor of the St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church and the policy director for Faith in Place, sharing with you about the census. Again, thank you to our partners tonight, the Power Organization, Pastors Organized with Equity and Respect, and President Jones for being a part of this evening's presentation. Again, God bless each and every person, and you have a wonderful, wonderful night.